Finding good nutrition in the black and brown neighborhoods of Los Angeles is only one challenge. What about the business of finding help for the at-risk populations on a number of levels? The money, for example, to go to college, finding a mentor who can put people and organizations into LA's mainstream economy. In other words, combine as many social and community resources as possible that offer encouragement, hope, and perhaps financial independence for people. That's part of the mission of the Good News Foundation, founded by the top TV anchor women of Los Angeles. That's right, you're looking at them. Welcome, Good News Foundation showwoman to my right, KTLA's morning show's Wendy Burch, and co-chair Fox News primetime anchor Christine Devine.
Hello.
Thank you very much.
Hello, thanks for having us.
Oh.
I love that introduction.
Thank you.
Are we really doing all of that?
It's true. Finally, people in the news who see people's problems up close every day, who cover them, and not walk away from them. You go back in this organization and somehow do a follow-up to good community-based reporting.
That's about following up.
How did this start?
You always say, whatever happened to?
Right, exactly. Wendy, this was your brainchild.
It was my baby. I mean, I think if Christine and I each had $1 for every time somebody said, why don't you ever cover any good news? It's the mantra you hear out time and time again when you're reporting in the field. And I've heard it so many times. And I guess just to say, you're never going to change the nature of news. News by its nature is still going to be the bad thing that happens.
Yeah.
And we do good news stories, but often they're buried somewhere between sports and weather and next to the water skiing squirrel. You know, sometimes they just never get that mainstream or that top news story attention.
I don't mean this to sound patronizing, but I mean, you really got it done. I mean, why did it take so long in a city this big?
Let me just say this. Wendy's a great organizer, and she's known for getting all the girls in TV news together for lunch or for her birthday. So she had that in place already and said one year, you know, this year we're not going to just go to lunch. We're going to do something for charity. And it's going to be 20 girls plunking down $100 and giving out a scholarship.
All right, tell us what you do.
Well, the 20 Girls for Lunch quickly turned into 100 or so for our first kind of founding luncheon back in 2006. And the concept was quite simple. It was to recognize and reward those individuals in our community that were really making a dedicated good news difference. And the nominating process is simply getting this large group of television news people together that are so connected and saying, who do you know? Who have you covered? Who sticks out in your mind? And our first recipient was really sort of she set the bar. It's a woman named Agnes Stevens who runs a program called...
Drove by it on the way here. Full on wheels.
It's remarkable. Pat Harvey did the story on KCAL 9. This woman actually runs an after-school program for homeless children. You know, what to do with these kids in between the time they're in the public school system and before they can get into the shelter. She literally takes them off the streets and has this significant program. Pat had done a story on her, but we figured out we could do a whole lot more. So what was a whole lot more?
What exactly did you do?
Well, first off, it's just a storefront right here on Skid Row.
Yeah.
And you drive by and there's homeless people and people living on the street, and kids are in that area. And you should see when they come in after school and knock on that door to come in. They come running in.
Right.
Tell them what we did do.
Well, we didn't have a whole lot of money that first year, but whatever grant money we had, we gave her about $20,000 in this big fundraising event, and it was so inspiring for so many people that one of our sponsors who was there actually matched our grant money. But
Fantastic.
The good news just kept going. One of the sponsors that we had for our event that year was a great company called Office Max.
Yeah.
And
because you're starting, though, I mean, it's very hard to do everything for everybody. So you have to be careful.
Yeah, you have to pick one
one.
And focus on that one. And now we're growing. We've expanded to a Good Works Award and a Good Newsmaker of the Year. But this first year, it was this Good News grant. And I just have to give credit to the business community that stepped forward, including Office Max in this case. I called them on a cold call and asked them if they could donate some backpacks. It turned into a whole truck of school supplies.
And if you go there now, it's a whole computer lab. 8 computers?
Yeah, they donated 8
Brand
computers.
new. It's a computer lab on Skid Row. You would never know it's there.
So we had a dedication ceremony because we know a couple things about getting TV cameras in place. So we press released our own event. And here in this little storefront, we had a camera from every news station. We had Steve Curry. We had Jen Perry. The LAPD. That's a great part. The great part about the LAPD is that we invited them down from one of the divisions, and they looked at our computer center. And I just remember this very vividly. The officer came to me and he said, "Wendy, we're not going to let anything happen to these good news computers. And they put in an alarm system that day. Robbery Homicide came down and did that, and they added their patrols to that area. So it was our ability just to bring together a lot of people, bring together the right people and get them to pay attention to these good news stories that are going on.
I'm sure that there are professional women out there watching this that belong to groups or have associations that say, hey, we can do that too. But you, along with the other women in television, are extremely powerful. You've got the face, you've got the recognition.
We always have a core of 5. Because we all come from different television stations here in town, and we all know so many people.
There's 5 of us on our board. Yeah. Christine and I are here representing Pat Harvey, who is one of our co-chairs from Channel 9, and then Dorothy Rusi,
Good Day LA,
and Anna Garcia, who's the anchor and investigative reporter over at Channel 4.
And so what's the board? Where do you see the advisory?
Yeah, where do you see all of them? It's quite a powerful group.
Yeah. All right, let's get to the business of this. What does this ultimately translate out to, if I can ask this question, to the business of Los Angeles? If you go out and you find somebody, and you find grant money, it's sort of seed money to help them keep going, but who benefits in the long run?
Well, I think there's a lot of benefits. I mean, first and foremost, the greatest benefit goes to these smaller nonprofits. These small nonprofits that are doing great work but just need that extra boost and
the voice. And they don't have the voice that we have.
And then once we can kind of get them connected with the right people in the community, that's the thing, finding the match. Another great example, we found a small charity called the Crown Jewel Club. It's an after-school program. It's an etiquette course for some girls down in South Los Angeles, but it's so much more than just a big tea party. It's about self-esteem. Anyway, long story short, it was started and founded by a woman who runs the teleprompter and is an engineer over at KNBC. But the bottom line was we saw these girls and we realized that these girls needed to feel like they could hold their head high and walk into any place in Los Angeles.
Well, what I'm getting to is
this. So let's say we called our friends at the Four Seasons Hotel.
Yeah.
And now the girls have their big graduation ceremony there. We kind of act sometimes as the conduit between the businesses that we see that could really lend a helping hand to these smaller nonprofits or these smaller charities that just wouldn't know how to make those connections.
I think that's a greater issue. I think there's a greater issue. You're asking me about how does it help the business community.
Right.
It really helps all of Los Angeles because we're helping to create productive citizens. You have kids living on Skid Row and homeless shelters who are loving coming into a computer lab. They're learning, they're studying, they're getting their education. We built a closet for an organization that helps dress women to go out on job interviews. These are women who want to work, productive citizens. We're creating productive people. Even the etiquette course for the kids. I came from the other side of town. When I went to my first black tie dinner, I didn't know which fork to use. I didn't know which plate was mine for the bread plate. We're creating people who can go out in society and then make their own difference.
Right.
And about our clothing drive as well, it's something that we started just by getting all the television news women at all the stations. I mean, believe you me, we have a lot of clothes.
I know what you're talking about. When I first got my tux on for the first time and went to a formal event, people were asking me to take them to the table.
Oh, I was petrified my first event. Petrified. I sat there looking, which water glass are they going to use? You know?
Yeah. Okay, bringing business interest, bringing money into areas, particularly the poverty pockets of Los Angeles, is good business for the entire city. But how hard is it now to go after that grant dollar when everybody's going, no credit, I'm losing my job, everything really looks bleak?
I don't know if we know, do we?
No, we're learning as well. I mean, our charity is very new. We're entering into our 3rd year. But the one wonderful thing that we've done is we've created and solidified some very good relationships with some strong businesses. And because people believe in our mission, those businesses keep coming back. Caruso affiliated. The Los Angeles Dodgers, Mayor Richard Riordan.
Yeah.
They believe in us. And they see what we're doing, and we are a group with a voice, and I think we'll never be the group that will have the most money in grant money to give, but I think we will be one of the foundations with the largest and the loudest voice.
I'm hoping that you grow into this tremendous helping hand for people. That would be terrific.
Remember, we were 20 girls going to lunch, then we went to 100 for our first actual lunch, 250 our second luncheon, 500 people at our last luncheon. In 3 years.
Yeah. Let me ask a little bit about each of you personally, because this doesn't happen unless there's a framework, there's a character quality to each of you that says, okay, I'm doing enough in community-based reporting by helping people. I'm letting the people know there's a problem here. But no, you take the makeup off, take the nice clothes off, leave the station, and do more. Why? What motivates you to keep going?
Well, I think it was speaking for myself, my real desire to give back something tangible, to actually have that connection that was more than just, nice to meet you, I have a deadline, I've got to go. It was that ability to really connect. I had a strong desire to get involved with some sort of charity and some sort of independent thing, but when I looked at who my friends were and this amazing network of powerful newswomen, I thought there can be no better group and no more effective group than this group. Now, we are the women, we let the men in, I have to say. We call ourselves, the good news girls. And, there's a few good men in that as well. But to look out at our fundraising event and to see literally every station represented and every news reporter and anchor and producer and news executive there, it's a really remarkable room of people that really know this community unlike anyone else. And also, we're a competitive bunch. If we can get that room together, I don't see why the lawyers in town and the doctors in town and the real estate agents in town couldn't do similar work.
Christina, I know how tedious it can be being an anchor person because you sit behind the desk and you're kind of reading the teleprompter. And yes, you're guiding and coordinating. You're sort of being the ringmaster of the news gathering and dissemination process. But I imagine this must really feel good to get out of that anchor chair and walk into the community and be a force.
Well, we all know so many people. I helped coordinate the silent auction last year, and I just found people wanted to give back. It was so easy to make a phone call and say, hey, we're doing this, it's going to help so-and-so and so-and-so. And people say, yes, I want to take part. And we had over 100 items. It was a great silent auction, a great, easy fundraiser. But one program I really wanted to be part of was honoring somebody in our business who was doing something, and we didn't want it to be the anchor who goes out and MCs.
Right.
As anchors, we've all been out and MC'd something. We wanted to find somebody who was actually doing something. We found amazing people. Our first honoree was our director, happened to be at Fox 11, who started a foundation, now it's a foundation, where she collects gently used baby clothes and gives them to teen pregnant mothers who have nothing.
Wow.
And she runs us out of her house. Her garage is packed with donations. It's really taken off, and we gave her the voice to say, you're not just that person behind the scenes. You are important. You're doing something important, and we believe in you.
Well, I'm going to say, too, you have the good housekeeping seal of approval. This got the good news seal of approval. I mean, in one way, yes, we do help financially, and we kind of help guide them a little bit, but it's so rewarding to see these smaller charities that we've found become bigger charities and become more self-sufficient. And we sit back and go, wow, there's some great contagious power of good news.
Well, we hope that your effort is contagious. We'd like to see this in other major markets like Miami, New York, Chicago, San Francisco. Let me remind you that Ted Turner, when he started CNN back in 1977, wanted to do good news. He says, we're going to have an hour of good news every day. It lasted a week. So thank you very much for doing what you're doing and doing the follow-up that needs to be done.
And we're having so much fun.
We really
should come to our fall.
Well, listen, if you let more men in, I may be there.
Hey, we need a few good men.
Thank you. Wendy Burch, Christina Devine, very, very much. You're watching LA Business Today.